Hey, I'm starting off early because I didn't have any idea about how to conduct a Facebook Live. So, good evening, everyone. I am Akar Prabhu Banerjee. Most of you are uh, aware of the fact that I was supposed to do a Facebook Live sharp at 7 p.m. today. Now, I'm starting off early because I've already mentioned why. Now, straight to the point, what is Ielts? Ielts is nothing but a standardized test. The full form of or the acronym is Ielts. The full form of Ielts is English International English Language Testing System. International English Language Testing System. That stands for Ielts. Okay, and Ielts is basically a standardized test which is taken in well over 140 countries all over the globe. It is not the only official or the maybe the most popular English test, English proficiency test rather, but I think it's one of the most popular ones. Now, after discussing what IELTS is or what IELTS stands, now let us come to the point whether it is somewhat different from TOEFL or not. Now, TOEFL stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language, TOEFL. So, just a few years back, one of my friends asked me this question: Orko, what is the difference between IELTS and TOEFL? Why should I take IELTS over TOEFL or the other way around? To that, my answer was basically IELTS and TOEFL do the same kind of thing. IELTS is granted mostly in countries like UK, Australia, Canada, US. These are the countries. Now, TOEFL is something different. TOEFL was created by an American company, a US company, and it is granted or it is taken with higher esteem in North America rather than any other part of the world. So that is the initial difference between IELTS and TOEFL. Now, TOEFL has always been of two kinds. One is paper based, the other one is internet based. So IBT and PBT, paper based test and internet based test. However, IELTS is different. IELTS till 2016, I mean, 4 years back, till 2000, in the year 2016, I got my IELTS trainer certification from British Council. I'll come to British Council part later on, why it is so good and why you should go for British Council certificates and all. Now, I did my IELTS trainer certification course back in 2016. Till 2016, IELTS was only based on paper-based tests. Now, however, it takes internet-based tests as well. So, even IELTS has come a long way. Now, to offer differences, there's one more difference, a key difference rather, is in IELTS, in IELTS, you are basically talking to a person. The speaking test happens with a person right in front of you, sitting right in front of you. But in TOEFL, you're speaking to a microphone. That's odd to some people. In fact, for me, it seems odd. So I always prefer IELTS over TOEFL. Now, another huge difference between IELTS and TOEFL is completely MCQ based. That is, you will have multiple choice questions across the four sub skills or skill sets. However, in IELTS, you will have a mixture of MRTs. MRT stands for minimum response task. So it includes MCQs, obviously. It includes true false, matching the box, and very short questions, fill in the blanks, all of them. So that is a huge difference between TOEFL and IELTS. That aside, let us come to the main point. We're talking about IELTS. So here we would end the discussion on what is the difference between IELTS and TOEFL. Now, next point for me is the sub skills or the skill sets of IELTS. Now, IELTS has four parts: listening, speaking, writing, and reading. So mainly human communication skills have four parts. Two are receptive skills. The rest of the two are uh, productive skills. Receptive skills are listening and reading, whereas writing and speaking are productive skills. So in case of IELTS, you'll have 2 days to take your test. On one day, you'll have all the three, like reading, listening, and writing. On the other day, you'll have to face that speaking test, because you'll have an instructor, a person who will be checking your admit card, that is your hall ticket, your passport. By the way, passport is a must-have for IELTS examination. Otherwise, you can't appear for IELTS examination. You have to have your passport ready. Another point is IELTS has, I think, a bit different scoring pattern than TOEFL. IELTS marks you on these four skills, that's fine, but on the scale of 0 to 9. 9-pointer scales are there. Okay. Now, for 0, it means you didn't even attempt the test. For 0, it means you didn't even attempt the test. For 1, it's like you are just a very, very basic user. You hardly know anything of the language. For 9, it means you are an expert of that particular language. Very few people are able to get 9 out of 9. If you have got 8 out of 9, you have done brilliantly, because most of the universities in UK, they accept people who have scores more than 6 or 6.5. That is good enough. For IELTS, 6.5 or 6 is good enough for most of the UK based universities. Now, the next part is whether to go for the test first or for your application first. Now, in this case, let me tell you something. IELTS has two main types. One is the general training part. The other one is academic training, or the academic part. Academic part is for those who are willing to go abroad, who are willing to go to UK or maybe Australia or some other countries like Canada, to a certain extent even US, for higher studies. That is, they are going for their higher studies and not for the job purpose. For job purpose, however, or for the secondary level of education, if you want to go over to that country for your secondary level of education, to continue or to get your secondary level of education, you are needed to sit for the general training part. So basically, general training part is for people who are seeking jobs, and academic training part is for those who are willing to finish their studies or go for higher studies. Now comes the next part. I've written down a few points, otherwise I would probably miss out on too many of them. Now, I have been an IELTS instructor for the past 4 years, and there are other career options as well. I'll be discussing them shortly. The difficulties facing IELTS. Now, what if I have decided to take the IELTS test? Now, IELTS test is not tough or not difficult. It's challenging. There's a difference between something which is challenging and something which is difficult. With proper training, you can get ready for IELTS in a month or so, just a month or so. In fact, I personally trained someone within just 21 days. Yeah, 21 days. It took him around 15 to 16 hours of class. That was enough for that person. Though that person was a very good student and he had that knack of achieving something. So that is the most important part. No amount of training is enough for you if you don't have the zeal to success, to get the success or to succeed. Now, difficulties of facing IELTS. Mostly people face difficulties regarding their speaking part. It's true. The whole test the IELTS test, all the 4 sectors of IELTS test continues for around 2 hours and 45 to 50 minutes. So it is less than 3 hours. But let me tell you, the speaking part is the most challenging one because it continues for 11 to 14 minutes and you have to speak your mind. There are 3 parts of that particular speaking test. The first part includes a very basic level of interview part where you'll be asked your about your whereabouts, why do you want to travel to that particular country, and all very general questions. The second part of that speaking skill test is the long term part. In that long term part, the long term part, by the way, in that part, you are given a card, a cue card, on which there is a particular topic. So you have to speak on that particular topic. You'll be given 1 minute to think very hard on that, and you'll have to shoot right after that. The third part of the speaking skills or the speaking skills test is a discussion regarding your long-term topic. So you'll be asked questions regarding your long-term topic. So the speaking part is the most challenging one for me, I guess. Even as a trainer, I've faced the most amount of difficulty training someone on this particular part. However, the writing part is a bit difficult as well. Yeah, I am using the term difficult very consciously because it is difficult for people to write, because we don't have, most of the Indians don't have the knack of writing that much, because we speak a lot, we try to speak a lot, but most of the people, they are not really well versed with writing in this particular target language. So the two part of writing is writing part has 2 different essays. The first essay is definitely on a particular chart or particular graph, based on which you have to write a report, a kind of report. That is easier, by the way, because you can see something. You can see a particular graph and you have to chalk it out, whether it's what it is depicting, or maybe you have to prepare the report. It's easy. The second part is, however, a bit challenging, a bit difficult, because it demands creative writing part of yours. You need to be pretty good at writing something very impromptu, because you didn't have any knowledge, any prior knowledge. You won't have any prior knowledge of that particular topic, the second topic. Now moving on, listening and reading. I'll be discussing all those, these 2 skills later on. Today, I'm more interested in discussing regarding the career of aspect, the career aspect of the career prospect aspect, everything, whatever you need to call it, of IELTS. Now, I very much believe in this particular thing, that no matter how many certificates you've got, no matter how many courses you have done, you need to have a job. That's it. I've done hundreds of courses, probably 100 is a bit too far-fetched, but like 15 to 20 courses in my life. But to be very honest, you need to be very much career oriented regarding the choice of your courses. You have done your IELTS. You have passed your IELTS. Now what? IELTS certification is valid only for 2 years, by the way. It's not like a NET exam that you have cracked NET and you're safe for the rest of your life. IELTS examination, its certification is valid for 2 years only. After that, you have to sit for the exam all over again. You have to start it all over again. So be very much careful about that. There are 2 type of prospects. First, your IELTS certification. I'm sure you're doing your IELTS certification only because you're taking your IELTS test only because you are in talks with your university in some other country, or you are in conversation, or you are in touch with your employer in that particular country. So done and dusted. Now we can talk about being the IELTS trainer, the prospect of being an IELTS trainer. Now, my suggestion to you would be, your IELTS training career should be your second or third choice, not the full-time one, because I don't do that. I have never been that kind of a person who would depend on a particular one kind of career choice. My suggestion to you would be being an IELTS trainer should be your backup plan, not the first choice of your career. The reason why is uh, in India, people have started to realize the importance of this particular language, this beautiful language which we call English. So there is more competition than ever before. So that is one point. The second point is IELTS trainers don't get that much of money nowadays, because I've seen people getting $200, maybe maximum $300 for 1 hour of teaching. That is simply not enough, because if you are going for British Council sponsored IELTS training course, IELTS train the trainer course, that is IELTS TTT, you have to shell out $12,000 for that certification alone. Well, I did IELTS TTT certification, train the trainer certification 4 years back. That is back in 2016. It cost me around $12,000 back then. I'm sure it is more costly nowadays. So keep that in mind. Okay. IELTS certification, IELTS trainer certification should always be your investment and not your expenditure. There is a difference. Okay. Be very, very careful about that. Now, IELTS certification. Suppose you have done your IELTS training certification, IELTS trainer certification. Now what? You should go for the academies. Different academies are there in Kolkata. In fact, one academy came in touch with me 3 years back. We couldn't sort it out for different reasons, but there are academies which are willing to pay you around $1,000 to $2,000 per student. The payout structure is different here. Okay, most of the academies, they are interested in paying you depending on how many students you've got, and not a particular. They are not willing to keep you on their payroll as such. You won't get a salary. You will get some kind of like a mixture of both salary and your incentives. Now, suppose you are a very good trainer. Let us suppose that you are a very good trainer. You have been working as an IELTS trainer for the past 3-4 months, or 3-4 years rather. After 3-4 years of experience, now you are eligible for becoming an IELTS examiner. Now, IELTS examiner term is different. You'll conduct the examinations, IELTS examinations, and that person I discussed about earlier in the video, that person will be sitting right in front of you and looking at your eyes, and will try to figure out how much of a person you are, or maybe what kind of a person you are. That person needs to be an IELTS examiner. Now, if you are seeking employment with British Council, please be mindful of this. Until and unless you have CELTA, sponsored by, this is a particular certification course conducted by Cambridge University Language Assessment. Until and unless you have CELTA, British Council is not interested in you. Let it be very clear, because I have CELTA. I know it. I know it very much that British Council actually prefers people holding CELTA certificates. And apart from British Council, there is IDP. IDP Australia is there. These are the household names of regarding IELTS, so you can go for them. But I think all these popular names come much after you start your IELTS training as a trainer, because they want people who are more experienced. They need people who have more certificates, who have that non-native, rather native tone to their English, because this debate of native versus non-native speakers in English is a huge debate. 4 years back, I was trying to get employment outside my country. That is, there's a huge market of English language teachers in China, in some other Asian countries as well. So the debate is always there. That debate, we'll talk about it later on, some other day maybe. Now, the last point that I would like to recommend, the last point I would like to recommend is the resources for your further information. Now, I always go for the authentic websites. www.ielts.org. www.ielts.org is the official website of Ielts. You can go and check each and every freaking thing you want to check. First, the second thing is I have my YouTube channel. You can go and check those videos regarding Ielts as well, because I have got some videos uploaded. I uploaded those videos 3 years back maybe, so you can go and check. The channel name is Arkaprabhu Banerjee, again the same spelling, ARKAPRAVOBANERJEE. You can check. The third point is get a LinkedIn account. I am sick and tired of repeating this all over and over again to my students, to my mates, to the people I know. The thing is, until and unless you have a LinkedIn account, until and unless you have a social media account, your social media existence is there. Until and unless that, you are not visible to your employers. Stop doing Facebook and devote your time more on LinkedIn. That is one bit of piece of advice I have for you people, whoever is watching and will be watching after this recording ends, because it's a live recording, I guess. Obviously it's a live recording, so that's the thing. Now, last but not the least, before signing off, let us talk about the prospects of Ielts as a student. Until and unless you have 7 or 8 out of 9, you can't have a successful career as a Ielts trainer, because there is something called CEFR, Common European Framework is there. Common European Framework. They actually, the governing body actually categorize people in different sectors, starting from A1 level of speaker to C2 level of speakers. A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. These are the different types of speakers. The proficiency, depending on their proficiency. So until and unless you have C1 or C2 level of proficiency, you can't approach CELTA certificates. Back in 2016, I was not very good with my spoken English, to be very honest. And I had a very hard time coping up with all the pressure of CELTA and Ielts training. But to be very honest, C1, C2 level of proficiency you will hardly find out among people. It's not that easy to find out, because we Indians have our own pronunciations, our own tone, our own style of talking. So it's not that easy. But if you are approaching Ielts as a student, my request to you would be to prepare for at least 40 days before even taking that test, because it needs a lot of focus, it needs a lot of time for the trainer as well to judge you as a student overall. Now, signing off. Thank you for being there, whoever is there. And if I like to come back ever again on this live, I'll do that very soon. Thank you. Good night. And by the way, be safe, stay home. Thank you.